Once a container is running, we need ways to manage those containers. Some of the things we may need to do is to receive confirmation that the container is running, run a command inside the container, restart or kill a container. We can also start and stop containers. Let's go ahead and use in order to manage containers. So right now I still have the container running from the previous video. If I type docker ps, that's going to give me a list of my running containers. I'm going to move this over a little bit just so you can see the output a little more clearly. Let me type that again. Oops, clear docker ps. And you'll see that we get some information. We have a container ID, we have the image name, we also have the command. So by default, images can have commands that run inside of the container. You'll see that by default, this particular image is going to run nginx-g daemon off, and I'll go ahead and start up the nginx server whenever we start this container. We'll have the created at time, we'll have the status, which is currently up. We'll also have the port publishing. So we'll see that we have nginx running on 443, and that's not being published anywhere, but it's also running on port 80. That's being published to port 3000 on 0000, which is going to be localhost. We also have the name of the container, which in this case is called condescending Edison. That's just a randomly generated name so that the container has a name. We can also inspect the container, and that command is going to be docker inspect. That's going to give us a lot of information and also metadata for this particular container. Now we can inspect by either typing in the container ID, like so. It'll give us all this information, but we can also, docker ps, we can also inspect via its more readable name. So I'm going to do docker inspect and just paste in that condescending Edison name, and we'll see that we get what's essentially a big JSON object. And we can get information such as the ID, the created at date, the path. We also have the arguments for that particular command to start nginx. We have some information regarding the image. We have information about the drivers, the host configuration, a lot of information here, as well as network settings and things associated with that container, which can be handy, especially if we need to just get some more information or configure a particular container. We can also execute commands inside of the container. So let's say that I had an issue with my nginx server and I wanted to directly go inside that container and see what was going on. I can run a command by typing docker exec. My docker exec is going to run a command inside of a container that is already running. So I have to make sure that I have a container that's running. I can do docker exec -it, so I have a interactive terminal. I'm going to type in either the ID or the name of the, let me go back and get the name. I'm going to type in either the ID or the name of the container, which in this case, docker exec it is going to be that condescending Edison name. And then I can run pretty much any command that I want to inside of this container. For example, I could run ls, and it's going to give me a list of the directories in that container. What will be more useful is if I run a bash shell within the bin folder. Now I have a terminal that is inside of that container. So notice that this is a little different from what I had before. So if I type exit here, this is the terminal emulator that is on my local machine. By running this command, I am creating another terminal emulator, but it is inside of the Docker container. And notice that it has its own set of files. I can go into these folders and I can see what is going on and what things are installed, which can be pretty handy. Note that there is nginx right there. I'm not sure if that's a folder or not. Looks like it is. And I can see things such as the configuration for nginx. I can cap that out. Whoops. It looks like it is a directory. There we go. I can check out the conf file, and we'll see that this is the configuration file for our nginx server. So again, pretty handy because we can see inside that container, and note that all of these files are isolated from our operating system. They're inside their own little container. They're running all by themselves, but they do communicate with the outside world through those ports that we published. I'm gonna go ahead and exit this. And then a couple more commands, just real quick. We can restart a container if there's something up with the container. We just need to rerun a command by typing docker restart and then the name of that container, which I forgot. There we go, kind of sending us in docker restart, and it will restart that container. It'll just spit out the name for us again. Now, docker ps, if I want to kill this container, say I want to start something else and this container is taking up port 3000, I can kill that container pretty easily by typing docker kill. Whoops. And I'm going to get that kind of sending us a name. And it'll kill that container, docker ps. I'll have no containers running. Another thing is that if I type docker ps-a, it'll give me a list of all containers, even if they have already been exited. So notice that I have actually quite a few containers here, but since I exited them, they're no longer running. But keep in mind that even though they're no longer running, I can still go in and start them up again if I want to. In fact, let's go ahead and try that. There's you may need to choose a different name, but let's say I wanted to type, I wanted to start up modest care again. I could type in docker start and then that name, and notice, boom, I have a running container. Now, if you want to know some other commands other than the ones we checked out, if you just type docker, it gives you a list of commands. So notice that if you don't want to completely kill a container, you can also do docker stop, although docker kill essentially stops a container, but it does it as kind of like forces it to stop. So these are some other commands that you can check out if you're interested.